All right. We are live here with Wendy. So, Wendy, tell us about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your family life, your nursing background, and then we're going to dive into just how you became a nurse writer. So, let's start with just your background in nursing and your family.
Welcome to the Savvy Scribe podcast,
a podcast for healthcare professionals who are interested in starting their own health writing businesses.
I'm Janine, a registered nurse and your host. I'm a labor and delivery nurse, mom to these two incredible boys, wife to my best friend, and owner of two crazy Great Danes. I help nurses discover freelance writing as an extra income opportunity with help from my guests. Join us over on Facebook in the group Savvy Nurse Writer Community or savvynursewriter.com to join our course and membership to create your own profitable writing business.
Enjoy the show.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you very much for having me. It's exciting. So I'm from Canada originally. I grew up in Nova Scotia. I got my Bachelor of Science in 1997 in nursing. And then I kind of just went from there. I went to the States and worked in Texas for a couple of years, got some experience, and really my intention was probably to head back home once I had a bit of, I really wanted to work in pediatrics. So I went down there to get the experience and went back. And eventually I actually ended up in England. So I've worked in England and the States and Canada. So I've been nursing for about 25 years. Mainly, I worked in NICU, pediatrics, pediatric ICU, mother, baby, newborn nursery. And I did travel nursing as well. So now currently I work with in utilization management, and I've done as well case management with insurance companies. So I get to work remote from home, which was really nice. As far as my family life, I'm married. I have 3 children. My oldest is 20. He'll be 21 in September. Then I have a 18-year-old and a 14-year-old. So life-wise, I'm in a really good spot. I'm not as busy as when the children were younger. And that's kind of my background.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
You've been like so many places. That's so cool. Now, when you were doing nursing, did the kids come with you all these places? Or was that like early on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had my first one at 27. I started nursing at 22. So, the first few years I was single, and then I met my husband, and then we started a family. And so, yes, I actually had, the children were all born in different countries. So David was born in Canada, Amy was born in England, and Daniela was born in California.
How cool. Where'd you meet your husband?
In England,
In
in London. I was living in London and he was there. He's not British, he's Lithuanian. So then that connection, we were able to travel and do more stuff. So
very cool. Very cool. And so I'm going to ask you, like, first, were you interested in writing and then you saw my course, or was it you saw my course and said, this sounds interesting?
Well, to be honest, I almost left nursing when I was studying my bachelor's, and I wanted to go into journalism, but I stayed with nursing. And so always in the background, I used to think about writing, but I really didn't see. The only thing I thought would be possible is maybe doing CEUs. And really, I wasn't looking at that intentionally. So what happened was I had actually, after COVID, we had taken a couple trips. We had gone to see our friends in England, and I went to Canada, and I went to Holland last September. And when I came back, each time I was like, I've got to find something else to do. And I kind of started Googling what else nurses can do, and writing came up as one of those things. It was just, very small amount of information on it. So I started looking into it, and then I kind of doing research, came upon your course, and it was really just within probably 10 days after I got back from Holland, and you happened to be having one of your information sessions one night about the course. And so I thought, I'm just going to join and see what it's about. And you had me hooked that night because it was the way that you explained everything as coming from a nursing background was perfect because everything made sense. And it just something clicked. And I thought, I think I'm going to try this.
I can do this. Yeah. Yeah. Now, when you first joined, then you get like all the things, all the information. What made you most scared, or what were you like, oh my gosh, this is a lot?
It was I really had no understanding of what it was all about. So I really, and then aside from that, I'm not very good at computers. Like,
I remember when you came on board. I remember.
Oh my gosh. Like, I have this nice MacBook Air that I got, probably almost 2 years ago, my husband said, and I barely used it because I didn't know how to use this one. Even though I use a computer every day at work, I'm just doing the same things.
Right.
So, and this was new, and I didn't really feel like I had the time to figure it out. So first I had to start to figure out my computer. And then I went into your course and I went through every lesson multiple times. And then underneath each lesson where you had the podcast, I listened to everything because my goal was to try to put a framework around it. I had to try to understand the whole process and how it came together. For me, that's what I had to do because I had to understand, what was happening before I could go in. That's just kind of my nature. So as I was doing the course, I was also doing all the kind of actionable steps to go through it. And that's how I approached it.
And you learned the tech, and you learned LinkedIn, and you learned
that was
all these things.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was really. And like I built my own website. I optimized my LinkedIn profile, which I didn't even have a LinkedIn profile or really understand how to use it. There was just so much that, and I had started using ClickUp and HoneyBook. But for me, in order to do all of those steps, it was not just like an easy, okay, I'll just do ClickUp today. No, ClickUp took me probably like 15 hours of figuring out stuff beforehand or watching videos. Same with my website. A lot of time went into trying to figure out how to do the things. And on top of that, I didn't want to ask my husband or kids for any help. I wanted to be able to do this completely by myself. That was very important to me, that I understood I didn't want any help, So, that's it. It was not scary. I don't think anything was really scary for me. It was just, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and I gave myself kind of 3 months to figure out the logistics of everything.
How about like the time frame? Like a lot of us, working full-time jobs. How did you fit it into your life?
Well, that's another thing. I had to organize my life really well. So I'm more organized now than I've ever been. I've set myself on schedules. I have morning routines. I have evening routines so that I can make space for myself. And I would say
you're not binging Netflix at nighttime.
No, I haven't watched any TV. Like I lie. I've watched some TV,
right.
No, not much. I think I watched Yellowstone. I stopped to watch that, and occasionally I'll watch something just to kind of let my mind go. But no, I barely watched any TV. I just don't have time for it when I wanted to do this. And this was like, I was obsessed with it,
you have
just
to
trying to learn everything.
Anything you want to learn, you have to kind of get obsessed with it to be able to make it work. And you were so dedicated to make it work that you did make it work. So tell me a little bit like when things started to click, or like I like your learning process because everybody's different about how they kind of absorb the course. And you said like you had to see the whole thing, you had to take everything, kind of like put it then into how you learn, how you had to learn all of ClickUp before you could really do ClickUp. You had to do your website so you knew how to do it. And then after you kind of did all that, then came like the time where now we gotta go get some clients and make some money.
Mhm.
How did that process start for you?
Well, I would say, I mean, as I was doing everything, I was also doing the writing course that you offered.
Yeah,
So with that was perfect as well because I
the
it was
skills course.
challenging.
Yeah, the one that
Yeah.
actually helps you kind of like you knew you could write, right? Somebody's probably told you in some time that you were a good writer. And that course kind of just helps you fine tune things, you learn more, you take edits, you get samples at the end of it, like all that. So it's probably very helpful to then have that on top of the business side of it.
Absolutely. So I was doing that all the way through as well. So because I felt comfortable with that because it was like doing a class,
Hmm.
So um I was doing that throughout it as well. And um to the point where and then like, I really just started getting clients in February of this year. But before that, I was also I wanted to keep writing and try to get better and understand even like the formats and stuff, especially with like I didn't know how to write a blog post before that. So then I started picking up some um jobs with on your job board, which was great as well. So that was making me more comfortable. And then I started reaching out because I really started optimizing LinkedIn I had my website up in January. So I started looking, getting more involved with a bit of LinkedIn and trying to pitch. And that was a tumbling block because I didn't really know how to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so, yeah, I feel okay now. I'm still a bit nervous about the pitching. I'm not, it's not that it would deter me from doing it. It's just I'm a little bit nervous about
Yeah.
how to do that. So, yeah.
But
Mhm.
I think the other thing to mention is that you came to like all the little live events that you could. Like even the ones that like even if you're just sitting and listening or you watched it again, I always noticed that you were always there asking questions and trying to find any answers to just keep going faster. And it worked, obviously.
Yeah. And you asked when did everything kind of click? It was the funny enough, I think it was the Q&A that you had just before Thanksgiving, and I
Yep.
was the only one who
Yeah.
that
It was
was
like
the
the night,
night
wasn't it
I
like the
was
night
like,
before Thanksgiving
okay,
or something?
yes,
I mean, on my part.
yes. Yeah. And I was like, everything needs to stop. I'm going to this, and so yeah, that was the night everything clicked.
That's
Where
cool.
the process and understanding of everything clicked. Yeah, for sure. And attending, I attended everything live. I'm lucky that I work like a Monday to Friday job, like I said, and that I work remote. Like, I can take the lunch break, I
Hmm.
can adjust it, and I can have a full hour for that. So it's a lot easier than if I'm, was working
The bedside.
shift work
Yeah. Yeah.
floor. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that was a big thing. I think coming to everything live because I wanted to have the opportunity. Like the recordings are great, but I thought, why not use the resources if they're there?
Well, and I
To be
remember,
able to.
I don't remember what training it was on or whatever, but I do remember walking you through like some clients. I think that was where you were stuck too. Like, who can I write for?
Yeah,
Because everyone just thinks hospitals or big organizations that usually have an internal team. And I remember going on like a Google search and then like going into LinkedIn and like looking for the people to contact. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
okay, now I got a
That was
list.
session, because then I was like, I've got to go to these co-working sessions. So
That's right.
I actually took PTO a couple of days in order. I can probably do like maybe every second month because I have a vacation coming up in the summer and I need PTO.
Right.
But yeah, but yeah, I took PTO to do that because I was like, and it was perfect. That was a co-working session that you did that.
And
Mhm.
you know, like those
Yeah.
sessions are cool too. Like I remember when I was at the bedside, I would take PTO days to work on my business. And I'm like, it's okay because I'm still getting paid here and I'm doing revenue generating things over here. So it's
Yeah.
totally worth it, especially because you know you're gonna, you know, you're covered over there. But you know, it's you're doing the right things. Like you're not just, you know, laying out, not that you need that for your summer vacation, lay out the sun and enjoy life. But if you are building something on the side, you want it to work, you got to have the time to do it. And sometimes it is. And I remember I would take like a half day PTO. I wouldn't even take the 12 hours. I would take like 6, like
Yeah.
be able to do it like that too. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool that you were able to attend that because without that, maybe you wouldn't be where you are today. And I don't know if part of that session had to do with maybe your first client, like how you were able to find them. But maybe we'll dive into that. Like what was your goal for income wise, like in a time period and like where are you now?
Okay, so I started the course the end of September of 2022. So initially, like I said, my first 3 months, I was not going to pressure myself to find clients and stuff like that. Like, and to be honest, when I would look at the group and stuff, I thought maybe I was behind, but I was
Sure.
like, no, I know myself. I know how I need to approach this if I want to make it work long term. So I did that. And then when I felt comfortable, what did you ask me again?
Like what your income goal was and then where
My
you are
income
now.
goal. Yeah. So I figured, okay, so I have a year up in September of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So by the 6 month mark, I wanted to have um, two paying clients that I had, was able to find on my own because that was a step that I needed to take. And I wanted to have $500 a month. I thought that was reasonable to get started. And then when I come back from vacation in the summer, I thought maybe I can scale it a bit because, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get faster at my process in being able to produce the work and stuff like that. So, but having said that, I will surpass the $500 before May, which was my goal originally. So I'm almost kind of skipping that part.
Nice. Nice. Well, and I remember it was like very recently where you were saying you were almost a little nervous. Like I could see this like getting busy really fast. And it's true.
I
And it
can.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. And my problem is I love it. Like I wake up every morning and I'm like, I would really want to just dive into this right now. And even
Yes.
I'll tell you what I did with those co-working days too. It wasn't just attending the co-working session. It was waking up in the morning and thinking, what if this was possibly
Was my
my
life.
life going forward?
Yeah.
What if and those one day, those 2 days keep me going because I see what might be possible at some
Yeah.
point in time. Like I have kids in college and stuff now, so I don't think it'll be anytime soon. But my problem is I really want to do this. I'm excited when I get up. That's first thing that I want to do. So it's a little bit, it could be a little bit challenging because I'll want to grow it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how far I can
Yes.
given,
Yes. Without
and
being
I think that is maybe going to be the most challenging thing for me. It may be good, I'm kind of going with the flow a bit to see where everything goes, and remaining flexible, but I can really see that could be an issue for me.
It's a good problem to have. I always say that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Well, and you think about like, okay, so maybe as somebody who, might not be familiar with working from home and stuff, like what's the difference between working for yourself, like as an entrepreneur, freelancer, and then working remotely from home?
Well, I would say, working remotely for myself, doing something that I really want to do, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
It's just a no-brainer. I even like the bookkeeping part of it. I even enjoy the stuff that's maybe a bit annoying, And with my work, working remotely from home was wonderful and is wonderful in the sense when, I was raising my kids. And if you had a soccer game every Wednesday or whatever, your shift work couldn't accommodate that.
Right.
So working from home, the difference between working for an employer is I have to do everything on their terms, even if what they do is interesting in ways that I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know. I don't know how to say it nicely. Working for myself from home would be it's almost like a dream come true. And on top of that, part of my why for doing this is really because we are, my husband and I came here, we don't have our family here. Everybody is in Canada or Europe or, our really good friends. And so that's been a challenge. So part of my why is just being able to take vacation and be able to still work. But if I want to go to Nova Scotia to spend 3 weeks on the ocean, I can do it. And I can still work. And if I want to go to England and spend, much longer, I can do that. So that is, it's a freedom. I understand it comes with a huge amount of responsibility, but I just think for me, my personality and my why and what is really pushing me, it makes much more sense.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the first time you do that and like there's other people beside your family around, they're going to be like, why are you working? You're working? And you're like, but it doesn't feel like work. It's fine.
Yeah.
Worry about you. I'll worry about me. Like I get that all the time when we go camping or we go to Florida or wherever. People are always like, why are you working? Well, because I have to, first off. Second, it's because I enjoy it. Like, and this is why I do this. Like, I'm gonna work so that we can do this, and it's a nice trade-off. It's a very nice trade-off. Now, when your kids are at home now, like I know the older ones are away at college, and then you're fortunate. Like, what are they thinking? Like when you're doing this on the side and bringing in extra money, and then your husband too. What do they think?
So my kids are not away at college. We live outside Chicago, so they actually go to schools here, and
cool.
They live at home, which I'm excited for because I would not have been ready for them to leave at 18.
Yeah.
So I need that buffer before they actually really leave me. And then my 14-year-old is home. I have a dog, a cat, and a husband, and they are loud. So they're all very supportive. They're excited. It's funny because my husband, when we used to live in England, a lot of our friends were, English was maybe second or third language. So anybody who needed paperwork written up would come to me and bring a bottle of wine. So I was always,
Great.
Right. And my husband has been, I've done things a little bit over the years, nothing, but he understands that I like that. So he's very supportive, and so are my kids. They're excited about it. As far as kind of managing the chaos, I put in, I put in earbuds if I need to.
Yeah.
I've gone to the library a couple times, or I just go to another part of the house or something
Yeah.
like that, but they're very, and like my older kids are self-sufficient. They're all self-sufficient, really. Even Daniela is now at 14. She just still needs rides places.
Right. Right.
So I'm at a really good point in my life where this is a possibility. And I put a lot, I can put time into it in the evenings and on the weekends. So, and yeah.
Now, are you doing
There's
anything
support.
special with the money you have now from the business? Or you just kind of holding on to it to take a trip or whatever?
I am holding on to it, but my youngest one is she really likes to sing, and she's in voice lessons and musical theater and stuff. And I had a nice guitar that I had got myself a few years ago, but I never even had the time to learn it. So I gave it to her. And I mean, she's doing well just on her own with that, but she wants a piano. So my plan is to get her a piano shortly with that money.
That's cool. Yeah, see, it's like you didn't have to work extra at a bedside nursing job PRN for the piano or anything. And I think that's what's so cool. It's like you can take or leave work sometimes. Sometimes you need more clients, so you go pitch more clients and you'll get more work. But my last question for you, Wendy, is what would your advice be to somebody who is hesitant, who isn't sure if they can do this? They've kind of like maybe they've listened to my podcast or they've seen the website or whatever, and they're like, they just aren't ready to pull the trigger. What advice would you give them?
I would say that this is very doable. I'm seeing the potential now, and like I said, I'm only really have maybe 6-7 months into it, and I think as long as you're willing to work, you have to be willing to work. It is not going to come easy. You need to make sacrifices. There's times when even we have kind of social get-togethers or whatever, and I'll be like, okay, well, normally I'm the last to leave a party, but not, I mean, I'm home by like 12 because I'm like, I need to get up and I need to make the best use of that weekend days that I have because, I still have a lot of chores on top of it. I do most of the cooking, the cleaning, the grocery shopping, taking kids, like my daughter needs a grad dress and stuff like that. So I need to fit all of those things in. And so I would say just be prepared to work and attend all of the live sessions. And but it's very, very doable. And yeah. Mm-hmm. And the community is super supportive. Like it's a really nice group of people to be around, and they're positive people and they're helpful, and people are just so giving with the knowledge that they have or the understanding that they have. It's a really nice group of people to be with. So
I always say that, and I'm like, where were these people when I was at bedside? Like,
yeah.
can you imagine all of us working together at the hospital? It'd be like the most joyous place, and like most like everybody would help everybody. Like you're not alone with your patient all the time, and it's just funny how you run into these people over the internet. Like even some of my clients, I have a client who's a physician, and there's like 3 other physicians that own the company, and like jumping on calls with them, I'm like, man, if we were at the hospital, listen, we'd have the best hospital ever. Like that's how these people are. And like you don't realize how great other people are because we're so used to bedside burnout and people are stressed and they're at the job because they have to be there, and we're choosing to do this. So I think that's the difference too, is when you choose to do something out of your heart and you like it, it's easier to give back. It's easier to help one another. It's easier to be involved. And, nobody's forced to go to any live session. No one's forced to do any of this. And you still do it because you want to. Like it's just a different way. Like nobody's making you go to that staff meeting. It's just you come if you want to come. You don't, it's okay too. Like it's just I love it. I love
And
how
it's
everybody is in the group.
like Yeah, it's fun. And it's really nice to have those live sessions, and even the Monday huddles are great
Yeah.
because I love it because you get a chance to it's not like you're just doing an online course and there's no interaction. There's multiple chances to have meaningful interactions and to kind of get to know people. So it's really fun. I just enjoy all of it. So
Good.
yeah.
Well, I
I
enjoy
think
you being a member,
Yeah.
honestly.
Thank
I have so
you.
much fun getting to know you and your family and just helping you along this way. So, and it's funny that like even when you were talking about being a journalist, that CEU was the only thing that you could probably do, and now we've opened your eyes to like so many different types of opportunity as a content writer, and you have publications all over the place now, which is amazing.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is technology has developed so much. I mean, like if you think back to like I graduated in 97, we sure did not have smartphones. And it was, I mean, we didn't really, internet was just kind of coming around at that point too, So yeah, it's just technology has made so much possible, and it's a really exciting place to be. So I'm excited, and excited for the future. And thank you so much for this course and part of it is like your personality, like you were saying, where were these people? I'm like, I loved the nurses who worked hard, who knew their stuff. So if you're going into a delivery when something is, off, and you make eye contact and you know who you're
Yes.
with, that's a whole nother story. But when it's downtime, they're also the person that you can have a really good laugh with. And
Absolutely.
so, that's what I feel. I almost feel like I'm having that experience more with this. And that was so I want to thank you very much for offering the course. I'm so glad I found it. So
Oh, you're welcome. And
yeah.
I love that eye contact thing. I remember bringing new nurses, like I'd be precepting them or whatever. And I'm like, you're going to see something in these deliveries. We don't have to say a word to each other. We could actually have a silent delivery and we would just look at each other and know what each other needed to do. It's like this symphony orchestra of people just doing what they need to do. And then, like you said, when there's a problem, you look at that other person, they look at you, say it's like a shoulder or something. You're like, who's going to do superior pressure. That we're going to go back with the fed. Like, everything that's going to happen. Who's going to catch that kid and take it over to the warmer and resuscitate and whatever. And no words had to be spoke. And like you said, then we could have a really good laugh later on
Yeah.
or going out to
Yeah.
dinner and like have a good time
Yes.
together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel that in our group too. We have so many great people and stories and experiences, and everybody comes from different backgrounds too. It's not like it's not that, everybody's kids are grown. Some people don't even have kids, and some people kids are babies, and so, like everybody's in these different stages of life. And I think what I hear you took away from this course more than anything, besides like getting clients and whatnot, is you've learned how to like schedule your life and work around your life. And what was the other thing I was gonna say? Oh, tech. Like you've learned to keep up with it and keep going with the new changes. And it's just like anything, like even in the nursing world, we had to see things change and adapt to the changes, or you're gonna fall behind. So I think those two things in general, you've walked away with to say like, if there's anything, if you didn't even have a client, like you walked away with something out of the course. But I wish you luck. I think you're gonna do great things. I know you're gonna grow this and at the pace that you want to. And I'm excited to keep going with you the rest of this year. I think this summer is gonna be wonderful too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Savvy Scribe. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, we'd love for you to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Until next time.